Well, hello there, friends. I am very soon going to be in my new office, and I am so excited to have a real filming setup. This room has been, it's been fine, but I'm very excited for my new space. Excited to show it to you as well. But today, I'm not going to. Instead, I want to talk about finding the right room, which is a principle of advancement and self-improvement that has served me really well. My name is Seth. I'm a full-time fantasy author. I've written 26 books. I have published most of them, and I make these videos because there are a lot of authors out there who feel like they're fumbling around in the dark, and I don't want you to be one of them. So, what does it mean to find the right room? Well, just as different rooms serve different purposes, in life, finding the right room with the right people in it can be a huge tool for self-improvement. Now, that's not to say that multi-purpose rooms don't exist, but the more specific a room's purpose, typically the more effective it is. Just as the best and most efficient way to cook something is to do it in a kitchen, where you have all of your tools handy, the best way to learn something is to be around other people who know how to do it. No amount of self-study is going to be able to replace the learning experience you can get from mimicking somebody who has already done it, especially if they know what you're attempting to do and they're able to support you by talking you through some of the pitfalls that they have encountered. And so this makes the room that we're in socially incredibly important. One of the reasons that I love conferences is because you can learn all sorts of amazing things from all sorts of amazing people. But it's important to understand that when you encounter people, when you start building that room, it's only as good as the experience of the people in it. In previous videos, I've talked about how having a writers group that is just peers can actually be harmful for you because it's incredibly hard to grow beyond whatever stage the people around you are currently at. And so this is why it's important to find rooms with people who are ahead of you. See, people have this tendency to congregate with others who are like them, and there's nothing wrong with that. Having a peer group is fine. There's utility in it, and you can learn a lot from your peers. But if your interest is in growing, getting better at the thing you're doing, then a group of peers is not what you want. Instead, you want a spectrum of people. You want people who are where you are so that you can trade strategies on your level, and you want people who are ahead of you so that you can learn new strategies. One way to put it is that if at all possible, you want to avoid being the big fish in the small pond. And this is hard because there's a natural temptation for us to want to be the most advanced person in the room or the most accomplished person in the room. But that is a sure path to stagnation. So if you find yourself in a space where everybody around you is either at your level or below your level in terms of where your career is, that group is not going to help you advance. And I want to be incredibly clear about something. I'm not saying you should trade up for new friends. You shouldn't be abandoning relationships just because they don't advance your career. That's a terrible way to live. But what I want to encourage you to do is to find people who are ahead of you and start learning from them. Sometimes that means engaging them directly, but sometimes that just means hanging out with them, figuring out ways to stay in their orbit. And if you're smart about it, all of these groups can be the same. They can be one group. Continue engaging with people who are where you are on your author journey, but also people who are ahead of you. You can do this by asking questions. You can do this by figuring out ways to help them. You can do this in all sorts of different methods. If you're looking for a book on it, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People is always a fantastic read, and it'll give you a basic primer for understanding how to approach those relationships. But if you want to grow, you do have to approach those relationships. If I could summarize all of this in a single takeaway, it's never be the most accomplished person in the room. Always find rooms where there are people who are ahead of you. And then, once you're in that room, listen.